So in your watercolour book, you're going to be drawing one large diamond or gem of your choosing after you've had a little practice drawing them in your drawing book. You'll be using a pencil and a ruler to do this. Make sure you're ruling your lines and they're all coming to meet up with this point here. Once they start to not meet that point, go a little bit off into their own direction, it starts to look a bit weird. So do try and make sure that they do that. Remember, draw it light until you get it right. Remember to draw all of your guidelines really lightly, especially to begin with, so that you can rub them out if you get them a little bit wrong. Do draw them very lightly. So for this project we will need to be picking two colours to use painting. We'll need a dark colour and a light colour. We're still going to be using our analogous colours from the colour wheel. So I picked the yellow and the yellowy orange for mine, but you could pick any colour combinations you like as long as they are in that section of the colour wheel. They're still analogous colours. So looking at what we've got here, of course you can use your own watercolours if you've got more watercolours at home, but on this little palette I can see right away that this could be a light colour and this could be a dark colour combination. This could be a dark colour, it could be a light colour, and this could be a dark colour combination, this blues. You could even have the light blue and the dark sea green as your dark colour. You could have the light blue and the dark purple as your dark colour. You could have this purpley pinky red and the purple, dark purple as your dark colour. Or you could have my colour combination here, which I used, which was the yellow and the orangey red. So last week we did a watercolour technique called wet on wet. So wet on wet is when you have wet paper and you put wet paint onto that paper. Remember how we were wetting the sections completely with water and then dropping wet paint into that water? That was called wet on wet. This week we're going to try a different painting technique. This painting technique is called wet onto dry. So we're not going to be wetting our paper first. We're going to be putting our wet paint straight onto the dry paper. So I'm going to start with the lightest colour first that you've chosen, and mine's the yellow. So wet that colour and start to apply it to your page and each section of your diamond or gem, whichever you have chosen. So we're just going to add that light colour to half or less of each section. So it could be 1/4 or 1/3 or 1/2 of each section. Kind of adding it to starting at a side or a corner and adding it there. We're kind of trying to create shadows here. So this will be the light section of each little section of the gem, each side of the gem. So they're all different sides and the light will catch each side a little bit differently because of the way it would be angled on a real diamond. Next we're going to add in the darker colour. So I'm adding it really thickly, really solid colour, and then So I've added that really solid colour just to one side, one line, one edge. And then I've added water to my brush and I've pushed the water into where I've added that paint and then kind of smudged it out. So I've kind of wet the really solid thick paint that I've put on the page and then added water to my brush and added the water to that paint and moved that paint out into the rest of the shape. So really going in really solid, even in that second one. Lots of colour. I decided I'd make this one dark. So some sections I wanted to make quite dark and have some sections quite light, just to show that there was different angles and different shades to the diamond. So there we see one side, really dark, thick paint, as thick as I could get it. And then straight away in with the water before that paint could dry, so I could kind of get that paint that's already on the paper wet with water and push it around into the rest of the diamond. And then that way, because that second layer of paint is quite see-through, quite light, that means that you can just see that yellow peeking out from underneath, just creating a really interesting effect. So on that fourth shape, I decided I wanted it to try and make it really light, because I thought about angles and where I wanted my lightest point of my diamond. So I tried to do the effect that we did last week and put a little bit of water down first. So I was playing around with the different techniques, trying wet on wet and dry on dry, just to see what the different effects would look like on the page. Because this is all about just experimenting with the paper, with the paint, and seeing what effects we can get along the way. But with our diamonds, we do want them to have quite see-through sections, because a diamond, if you think about a diamond, they're usually quite see-through. And they catch all the light with all their different angles, cut angles. So as you're painting, you can always add more colour, more paint to the page and layer up layer up the paint to get a darker colour, but it is harder to take paint away. There is ways that you can do it, but try just to start off with just adding more colour as you see it. So just start by adding it just to one side of each section, then adding water and then looking at it, thinking does it need to be darker, and then adding a little bit more paint to it as you need it. And that's pretty much our diamond. Okay, there we have it, the final product. So I've gone ahead and waited till it was really dry. There was no puddles, and then I got a fine liner. There is a fine liner in your pack. I don't have one of those, so I've used this one here. I think it might be a little bit thicker than the fine liner in your pack, so maybe you might want to use a Sharpie if you have one. If you don't, go ahead and use the fine liner from your pack. Do definitely use a ruler to rule your lines again, so they're nice and sharp and crisp. And those lines will just bring out that really cool diamond shape again. I'm really happy with that. I hope you're happy with yours. I can't wait to have a good look at them all and see how you've gone.